slightly scrambling as well, I guess. I'm going to do another reading video today. So from the Forgotten Realms wiki, I'm going to talk probably about the War of the Silver Marches and Evermoors, because I'm doing some reading about that region. So, the War of Silver Marches, let's go. The War of Silver Marches was a conflict between the orcs of Many Arrows that took place in the Silver Marches over 1484 DR to 1485 DR. History. In order to prepare for the war, the drow wizard Zabrak Zorlarin channeled the darkening upon the Silver Marches under the orders of Lolth. Soon, in the fall of Year of Awakened Sleepers, 1484 DR, the drow minions of Gwenthal Bainer perhaps incited the frost giants of the Shining White and two white dragons, Oranthator and Orbangras, to ally with the orcs of the Kingdom of Many Arrows, where the Moormonger Hartusk gained the power. Thus, a large army of orcs and drows, supported by frost giants and white dragons, assaulted the Silver Marches in the War of the Silver Marches. Nesme was destroyed by an orc horde led by Diago Benair, riding the white dragon Oranthator, and Sunderbar was conquered by an orc army commanded by the warlord Hartusk and renamed Hartusk Keep. All dwarf holds in the area, Citadel Adbar, Citadel Felbar, and Mithril Hall, and later also Silvery Moon, were besieged. During the Battle of the Cold Vale, Brom, one of the twin kings of Citadel Adbar, was tricked by the half-drow Dumwili Umgo and beheaded by Hartusk. At last, in the spring of the year of the Iron Dwarf's vengeance, 1485 DR, Brunor managed to unite all the dwarven forces to retake the River Serbin Bridge from the forces of Many Arrows. In the sky above the battle, Drizzt Do'Urden and Afaranarfer of the Copper Dragons, Lenesara and Tasmikella confronted Diago Benair and Tosun Armgo of the White Dragons, Oralanthor, Orbangras, leaving Tosun and Orbangras dead, and Orathator in retreat. Some of these names, man. In the summer of that year, Brunor used the dwarven ritual of the march on Flame Rule 1, managed to conquer Dark Arrow Keep, restoring it to Lorgru, its proper ruler, and defeating Hartusk's remaining armies. Meanwhile, with the backing of Jarl Axel using Drizzt as a conduit, the turncoat drow Archmage Gromf Benair dispelled the darkening, disguising the act as the power of Mieleki. The surviving orcs were forced into retreat, and the war was considered over. Despite this, resurgent orcs returned to threaten the Silver Marches once more, with the orcs' fortunes only waning early in the year of Nether Mountain Scrolls, 1486 DR, and their strength broken and armies scattered by year's end. And that is the War of the Silver Marches. And as a result of that, the Conclave of the Silver Marches, I think that's what it was called. Maybe not Conclave. Whatever it was disbanded. So there we go, that's the War of the Silver Marches. Not a lot of details on there. Probably because it was in a book, I'd imagine. And Storm King's Thunder, I think, is connected. Anyway, let's go on to the Evermoors. The Evermoors, or Troll Moors, was a region of the savage frontier that comprised moors and troughs, partially filled with chilly bogs and rolling landscapes. It was a place that clouded the senses with dense fog that permeated travellers' field of vision and winds that roared within their ears. In addition to the trolls that famously infested this bog, the Evermoors were home to a variety of other monstrous creatures. Despite this, a few scattered drovers, shepherds and prospectors managed to eke out a life within. The Evermoors were a large, unpopulated area bound by the River Serpin and the lower Reuven Vale to the north, the River Serpin and the Serpin Hills to the west, and the Silverwood to the east. To the south and east were the open lands. To the south and east was open land and the expansive high forest. The Laughing Flow River originated deep within the Evermoors, meeting the River Serpin after it passed through the Serpin Hills. The major road that linked the Artar to Everland, known as the Evermore Way, passed between the Evermoors and the High Forest. Geographical features. The moors were formed by large rocky plateaus, sporadically interspersed by very steep, small gorges dug by the water. Soil-covered doors and rocks dotted the moor's bog water, and small hills and peaks rose from the shrouds of fog. Rich veins of copper, lead, and even gold ran through the moor's rocky outcroppings, and it was believed that further wealth could be found deep within the Vale's waters. I don't know why I added Vale in there. Ruins. The region was the resting place for a number of long-dead dwarves and Netherese humans. The landscape was dotted with their burial mounds, some of which held great magical treasures, as well as the sporadic ruined castle. Beyond that, the southern reaches of the Evermoors housed a number of ruined settlements that humanity had been forced to abandon. History. In the ages long forgotten, humans attempted to settle the Evermoors, but their civilization fell into ruin. In the year of the Bloody Stone, 775 DR, an army of orcs and goblins led by ogres emerged from the Evermoors to stand against them. The Covenant of Neverwinter manipulated the Uthgard tribes into an alliance that successfully defeated the threat. In the course of the fighting, the Elk tribe were nearly annihilated while defending Flint Rock, reducing the proud tribe to becoming little more than bandits. In the first Troll War of the year Fire Slaughter 932 DR, trolls poured forth from the Evermoors, and Nimor led his forces from Nimor's Hold to famously eradicate the trolls in the Evermoors, scorching much of its terrain in the process. Scorch marks from the slaughter remain visible for hundreds of years. In the Second Troll War, the Year of Rings Royal 952 DR, trolls from the Evermoors once again attacked the north and were once again driven back and eradicated, this time by an alliance between Ageron of Waterdeep, Eroth of Silvery Moon, and brothers Samula Cardon of Tyr and Renwick Cardoon. The turning point against the trolls was a grueling 9-day struggle that came to be known as the Long Battle. After the number of troll attacks on the town of Nezame increased in the year of the banner 1368 DR, an unknown entity drove them away from the moors. A community of fog and cloud giants made their home within the Evermoors in the year of the Gauntlet 1369 DR. They were soon followed the next year by a band of hill and frost giants that travelled from the spine of the Wild Mountains, and was so common throughout the moors' history. This migration forced out much of the local troll population. In the late 15th century DR, the floating castle of Countess Sansari, known as Lyn Amal, hovered high in the skies above the Evermoors. Rumours and legend. Due to the rich amounts of ore found within the moor's rocky outcroppings, some expert miners believe that a vast network of caverns ran beneath its murky waters. Notable locations, landmarks. The Old Man, a tall jutting out from the moors that resembled the visage of an elderly man. Startop, a peak that came to a distant barbarians. Etheridge Drop, an abandoned village that had been deserted sometime before 1374 DR. Nesame. While always being threatened by the trolls and barbarians of the Moors, this town endured for some time until it was finally razed in the War of Silver Marches. Inhabitants. The Evermoors were infamous for its infestation of trolls, who were known to ravage the surrounding settlements. As of late 14th century DR, a two-headed troll by the name of Prophet was known to lead a massive force of trolls and bog blokes. 5 tribes of orcs roamed across the Evermoors during the mid-14th century DR, preying on anyone who travelled along the Evermore Way. Unlike many orc tribes, these had witch doctors in place of shamans and worshipped the god Baal. The region was also known to be home to savage etins, ogres and various types of giants, including fog, cloud and hill giants. The black dragon Ratkor once prowled the Evermoors. And there we go, that is the details about the Evermoors. What else have we got on here? I guess we could do a little more reading whilst we're on this region. Let's talk about Lurur, which is the name of the region around here. Lurur, also commonly known as the Silver Marches, was a confederation of cities in the north of Faerun under the leadership of Alastriel Silverhand, former ruler of Silvery Moon. It consisted of Silvery Moon, Citadel Adbar, Dead Snows, Jalanthar, Quevar, Citadel Felbar, Everland, Mithril Wall and Sunderbar, and its goal was to protect the north against the growing horde of orcs in the mountains. Geography. It bordered the Anok Desert to the east, the High Forest to the south, and the Evermoors to the west, and the Spine of the World mountain range to the north. Through Mithril Wall, Lurur also shared a border with the Kingdom of Many Arrows. Geographical features. Icespear River. This river wound around the northern stretch of the Ralphin Mountains before being crossed by the Fork Road. The River Ralphin. The great many boats, raft and merchant barges that pass along this river granted its moniker of the road through the marches. River Red Run. The Red Run flowed south from the Spine of the World Mountains and met with the mighty Ralphin just north of Sunderbar. River Zerbin, running between the Frost Hills and the Moonwood. This river continued west into the Deserin Valley. Forests. Arn Forest. The remote Arn Forest was home to a small community of rock gnomes. Glimmerwood. The vast woodland encompassed 4 adjacent once distinct forests, which are the following. Coldwood. This pine, birch and spruce forest had remained unmarked by civilized settlers or foresters, while it was home to some of the Earthguard tribes, orcs and etins. Have also been known to roam the woods. Draw wood. The sparse trees of this forest served as a refuge for many orcs and giants that came down from the Spine of the World. Moonwood, the large forest north of Silvery Moon, was free of goblinoid races. This was due to the large population of lycanthropes, many of whom are members of the people of the Black Blood. Night trees. Nearly all of the intelligent races of the marches avoided the 2 diminutive forests and the mysterious temple tower that lay within. And then there are the last 2 ones. Silverwood. Previously, I think is meant to say connected to the Great High Forest. These woods were since separated by the Everland Pass. Dawn Forest, also known as the Ghostwood. This unexplored forest was one of the most menacing locales in the area. Hills and mountains. Ice mountains. The harsh freezing gales that blew down from these mountains whipped across the surrounding valleys. Ice spires. Located beyond the Jewel Ranges was the realm of Heartsvale, the home of men who were said to be descended from giants. Nether Mountains. There were many monsters that spread from these mountains changes to the surrounding areas. Ralvin Mountains. The river Ralvin passes through the peaks in a steep-sided mist-filled gorge of roaring white water. There was a perilous trail in the gorge that runs through the Dead Orc Pass to the north side of the Ralvin that contains a strong and aggressive orc tribe, the Serpent Hills. Regions. Moonlands. Located north of River Ralvin and east of River Serbin, this stretch of wilderness was claimed as part of the territories of at least three Uthgar tribes. Old Delzoon. The area that was once home to a kingdom of dwarves comprised the eastern part of the Cold Run, the Adbar Run further west, and the Sundabar Vale to the south. Valleys. Adbar Run. This wild and untamed area was home to orcish and goblinoids. Cold Vale. The northernmost marches valleys spread down from the spine of the world. Sundabar Vale, encompassing its namesake city and its surrounding hills, this central valley was nestled between the Nether and Ralvin Mountains. Ralvin Vale, considered by many to be the heart of the Silver Marches, this bountiful valley was dotted with thriving holdings, farmsteads and villages. Government. The League of the Silver Marches began in 1371 DR as a confederation of city-states united to defend themselves from a common threat. The League itself was governed by a council of 9 peers who would be called to meet every 6 months or sooner by the High Lord or Lady known as the Speaker of the League. Each of the larger cities, Silvery Moon, Citadel Adbar, Citadel Felbar, Everland, Mithril Hall, and Sundabar would send one representative peer each, likely their ruler, but any chosen individual would be given voting rights. The Arcane Legion's commander, called the Shining Guard or High Marshal, would be the 7th peer. The 8th would be the Lord or Lady Protector, a representative of the protectorates, those such as Avendel, Rivermoot, Jalanthar, or Quelenvar, who laid within the Silver Marches but without signatory privilege. And the 9th peer would be a rotating individual chosen for position by the Speaker of the Silver Marches, known as the Member at Large. These 9 peers would choose a High Lord or Lady from within their ranks to head the meetings of the League. The Speaker's responsibilities, beyond calling the League's meetings, included breaking vote ties, arranging each meeting's agenda, and acting as the ultimate judge within the marches, though the last was subject to council review. As of 1372 DR, the League's first council consisted of High Mage Ten Hornblade of Silvery Moon, King Arbrom of Citadel Ardbar, King Emerus Warcrown of Citadel Felbar, First Elder Kale Moorwalker of Everland, King Bruno Battlehammer of Mithril Hall, and Lord Helm Dwarfriend of Sundabar as the 6 signatory peers, and High Marshal Methramar Azamare of the Arcane Legion, Lady Protector Illustrial Silverhand, who acted as the first Speaker of the Silver Marches, and a Member at Large, Old Knight, as the 3 remaining peers. Trade. Due to its bounty of natural resources and the open trade mindset of its confederated cities and towns, the Silver Marches were rich with opportunities to find wealth and fortune. These were vast and fertile. The lands were vast and fertile enough for farmlands to produce ample food and ranches to raise small herds of livestock. Its rivers, forests and mountains supported the livelihoods of many fishermen, farriers, lumbers and miners. Merchants plied their goods between the various cities of the marches by wagon or barge, and further out to destinations beyond. Various common and uncommon currencies were accepted in the cities of the marches, though less so in the smaller towns. Silvery Moon minted a coin unique to the region called a moon that was accepted all throughout the region. Defences. Due to the many perils and hostile forces that made home in the north, the Silver March's first line defence often came in the form of information. Many small groups of city-sponsored scouts, bands of rangers, adventuring companies, independent cells of harbours, and others scouted the stretches of wilderness that often presented threat to the civilized land. Many of the smaller towns maintained their local patrols, comprised of militiamen and other volunteer defenders, while each of the main cities maintained their own armed forces, such as the Knights of Silver in Silvery Moon and the Army of the Vale in Everland. The combined armies of the Marches banded together for quite some time, forming the collective Argent Legion. History. The years 1368 through 1370 DR were particularly turbulent for the city-states of the north. Troll attacks, orc hordes, and combined army of demons and barbarians, as well as a particularly harsh winter, spurred the leaders of those cities to convene a council. After many heated arguments were calmed by illustrious diplomatic skills, it was decided that the cities would band together and form a confederation under Illustriel's leadership. Illustriel declared, at the suggestion of Old Knight, that the nation would be known as Lurar, in honour of the goddess Luru, sometime between the winter and midsummer of 1371 DR. She rejected the suggestions of New Delzoun in honour of the fallen dwarf kingdom and Illustriel in honour of herself. By the year of the Ageless One, 1479 DR, after Illustriel's apparent demise, her eldest son, Methramar Arisame, was the High Lord of Lurur. The League had lost the support of Citadel Adbar, Citadel Felbar, and Mithril, whose leaders refused to spend effort and resources helping smaller settlements at the expense of their own. Though the three cities remained allies of Lurur, they no longer considered themselves members of the Confederation, nor could they be relied upon to answer calls for help. In the year of the Awakened Sleepers, 1484 DR, the darkening was cast over the region in preparation for a drow and orc invasion. The attacks involved sieges and attacks on Winter's Edge, Mithril Hall, Nesame, and Silvery Moon, as well as subterfuge interfering with trade in Blingdenstone. The spell was finally overcome by a band of adventurers during the Battle of Erendilin. Ultimately, however, thanks to disagreements following the war, the League of Silver Marches was disbanded in the year of Dwarvenkind Reborn, 1488 DR. The Silverain were blamed for providing insufficient aid for Sunderbar, whose surface population had been completely wiped out. As a result, all of the Dwarven states left the League of Silver Marches, and without their support, Lurur collapsed. And that's that. Important locations. Confederacy of Silver Marches, Everland, a wall city that was home to several races and is ruled by the Council of Six Elders. Citadel Adbar, a powerful, hard-to-reach stronghold of the dwarves. Citadel of Felbar, the former dwarven citadel that, since 1367 DR, has been inhabited by humans, orcs, and most recently dwarves again. Mithril Hall, one of the greatest shield dwarf holds. Mithril Hall remained home to their kin after it was recaptured by Clan Battlehammer and their allies in the mid-14th century DR. Silvery Moon, a bastion of culture and learning in the Silver Marches. After Lady Illustriel stepped down to lead the nation, the city was handed to Tern, Thunderspell, Hornblade. This city of war was home to miners and crazed orcs. Other settlements, ancestral mounds, Buron as well. This was the famous ancestral home of the Black Lion tribe of Uthgard barbarians. Hamlets and villages, dead snows. While the town was long served by the noble Icespear family, it became without lord during the late 15th century. Hilltop. This small community was situated in the foothills of the Nether Mountains. Kelp. The village of Kelp was best known for being located on the western side of the Silvery Moon Pass. Ruthenhead. This was one of the small communities that dotted the Ruthen Vale. Winter's Edge, no information. Landmarks: Castle of Illusion, Herald's Holdfast, Ruthen Watchkeep, Thradolf's Camp, Towns, Highhold fell under the Covenship of Silvery Moon, Jalanthar. Many human trackers, hunters, guides and trappers could be found in this small town, many of whom are experts of dealing with the orc, most often in a violent manner. Quervar, this small woodland town of humans and half-elves, fell under the protection of the Confederation, and Rivermoot. And that, folks, brings us to the end. So today we talked about the War of the Silver Marches, Luror, otherwise known as the Legion of the Silver Marches, or Confederacy of the Silver Marches, whatever the term it's using. It's got so many different ones. And then the Evermoors. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more like this, drop a like, let me know. Tell me what kind of fun fact you liked today. Maybe even let me know if there is a bit of D&D lore you want me to read in a video. I enjoy doing these for the D&D stuff because it helps me learn more with every video, but also it's fun to do as, I guess, a video as well. So I'm going to focus on doing D&D versions of these, so let me know if there's something you want me to talk about from D&D, specifically the Forgotten Realms, and we can read up on that like we did today. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. Click that button, you know you want to. And finally, go check out the videos appearing on the side of the screen. Go check them out, they're appearing right now. You should check them out, whatever.